conclude my, let's double check. Yeah. Conclude my presentation. Vygotsky also had a different understanding of what the role of school is. He said we have two different types of concept. Only one is present in the classroom, but another is present in everyday life. And one he called everyday concepts, and another he called scientific concept. I think if you can go back. No, can go back, but it's okay. And previous, I can. Thank you. So everyday concept and scientific concept. And the best quick example I can give you is like this. You talk into, and I'm sorry, my examples from younger kids, but they're very transferable to your students. Trust me, I teach university students, so the same thing. So you're talking to 5 years old, and you're asking 5 years old, do you have a brother? And the kid goes like, yeah, I have a brother. But does your brother has a brother? No, my brother doesn't have a brother. Okay? So that's what? We're talking everyday concept. We're talking the understanding of situation based on understanding of everyday relationship. Something which we can observe, something we can see, and we infer some conclusion out of observational fact. The problem is that everyday concepts are individualized, they're very situational, and they're not transferable to another situation, and they're quite narrow. And in order to expand, say, education or teaching based on everyday concepts, you would be forced to fly your kid to Egypt when you're studying Egyptian history. Yes, some people I heard from Westwood Plateau do that, but the rest of us have to have some other way to understand the world. And the other way, Vygotsky said, is through scientific concept. A scientific concept does not necessarily mean science. It's just all these concepts which can be only inferred from the system of particular knowledge. They're systemic, they only can be explained within the system of knowledge. They cannot be acquired through observation. They only could be presented in a verbal form of explanation by a teacher who already possesses the system of the knowledge and knows how these things are connected to each other. And they are much more powerful because they go beyond individual experiences. They go into the culture and into the human knowledge. So Vygotsky says what happens usually in the classrooms, a teacher's role is to present systemic knowledge. But that's, of course, if teacher is in possession of systemic knowledge. Vygotsky's demand for teachers is very high because he said that you can only explain things in your given field if you know entire field in and out. I'm sure you understand that. Because you're already teaching. So you know that once you understand the system of knowledge, there is no strange or stupid questions from your students, because you know why they ask this question, you know exactly why they don't understand, because they don't see the whole system yet. So part of Vygotsky's request for understanding the systemic knowledge is because he believes that that's the only way instructors can teach. So you cannot teach when you only know one page ahead of your students. Sometimes happen in public schools. I don't think it happens at the universities, but in public schools, yes. I only read the page and I told my students about that page. Impossible, because systemic concepts can only be defined through the other parts of the system. Okay, I don't know if you understand that. And the other thing he was talking about is, and that's where I stopped to ask for questions, he had a very different notion of what abstract and what concrete is. And it may be interesting for some of you in terms of instruction. Traditional formal logic thinks that concrete examples, concrete is easy for children or for students, yes? And the abstract thinking is difficult. Vygotsky, following the dialectical logic, said it's actually opposite. And he gives the following example. If I say the word patriotism, and I'm asking, kindergarten what the patriotism is. They may point to Canadian flags, they may point to some local events saying how much they like Vancouver or how much they like their little township, but there will be extent of their concept of patriotism. Yes? And Vygotsky say it's very abstract. Compare that concept to the concept of a veteran who fought 2 world wars, who lose his left leg, who shed the blood for the country, and now ask him about patriotism. His concept of patriotism will be very concrete to the last blood shed, drop of blood he shed. Yes, he arrived to this concrete concept of patriotism through the whole life of his. Yes, serving the country, losing his leg. So the abstract is very easy. It's an empty shell. It's very dry. Just first approximation of what we want them to understand. The most difficult processes in instruction is not just present the abstract concept saying blah, you read this, but to lead them through and facilitate them through this whole process to arriving to the very concrete understanding. And for each of the students, your students, will be different concrete understanding, but it's a long process. That's why in Vygotsky instructional field we say we are rising to concrete. We're not going down to concrete. We're actually presenting something in the beginning which is very abstract to our students. They have no connection to it. Yes? Or slight connections. They kind of have to trust you that it's important. And then gradually you lead them to this very personalized, very concrete understanding of the concept in your field. So I covered a lot of grounds, and if you got some taste for Vygotsky theory, please ask me questions. Just to conclude, what I was trying to achieve today to show to you that Vygotsky had some unique and I think quite genius ideas about education. For the fact of his scientific legacy, it's quite unique ideas. They're not very mainstream, though Vygotsky become mainstream on my watch. That's how, I work in North America and travel different places, nice places, to talk about his theory. I think he will become mainstream, if he not yet. What I was trying to show also today that he is immediately applicable to North American education. I will show you, it's from internet, I'm trying to show. The group of international scholars around the Vygotsky called themselves Mind, Culture and Activity Group. What we're doing now, for example, we're creating the set of the video movies at the Vimeo do you know Vimeo.com website? It's called Chat on Vimeo. So if you go to Vimeo.com, you'll see different scholars from around the globe. This is Natalia. This is Gita, in Natalia translating. We try to create awareness of Vygotsky theory, and at SFU, by the way, the quite progressive universities allowed me to create master degree of education, curriculum instruction, based on Vygotsky theory, which again, kudos to them. It's one of the new ones in North America, very, very new thing. However, given that he is Russian or he is so non-mainstream, it's another issue. I think he had a lot of interesting ideas, and each of the educators may find some of the immediate applicability. It's just a little bit difficult to turn your head around, given the words difference, given the concept foreignness, kind of strangeness of his theory. But if I interested you enough, like a hook today, not a hook, please ask the questions and let's talk.